All right, welcome back to Cole's Farm, everybody. It's October 5th, 3 p.m., and this is week 26's inspection for hive number 1, the original hive. It's 82 degrees. It feels like 83 degrees, and the humidity is at 53%. The WeatherBug app has the pollen at a 5.1, and the main sources are ragweed and grass. The last inspection on this hive was September 22nd, so about 13 days ago, and that's when I placed the 2 apivar strips in each brood chamber. So this hive has 4. In addition to that, we got another super on top. It had 2 half-gallon mason jars filled to the brim of 2-to-1 sugar water, so they could build up their stores for winter. Each jar holds about 5.5 pounds, so that's 11 pounds of sugar water. 2 weeks ago on this hive, which is definitely a strong hive, I anticipate both of those jars being bone dry, in which I will I'll remove them and I'll take the super off to condense the hive down to just the 2 brood chambers. The reason for that is because I believe there's enough goldenrod blooming right now to where they can pull in plenty of nectar and pollen, and then in about 2 to 3 weeks or so I'll probably add the mason jars back to all the hives to feed them. I'm being blinded by hive number 2 right now. The sun's hitting the telescoping lid just right off the aluminum top, and it's blinding me. So I already took the strap off. We'll pop the top and get in the hive and see how things are looking. We'll give them a second. That was a lot of smoke. Jar number 1, completely empty. And jar number 2, empty. Usually there's not much to really talk about on frame 1, but this is the inside of frame 1, and it looks like they have finally started to build some new comb on this, and I partially want to believe it's because of supplementing the 2-to-1 sugar water. There's plenty of stored nectar, which is most likely the sugar water, but then some nice new comb, especially in the bottom right where the hole is. You can see the color difference. As you can see, this is still a new foundation, frame number 2, but they've started to build some comb, and more so on this side, which is the inside of frame 2. So maybe a combination of you know, feeding and the goldenrod being in bloom, and towards the bottom there, they've actually capped some of it as well. Now this is what I've been waiting to see. This frame's probably about 10 pounds, plenty of stored nectar. They're starting to cap it at the top. It's got a nice weight to it. They're building out comb where it needs to be built. And would you look at that, finally, a nice section of capped honey. So like I said earlier, this is a strong hive. I think this hive will make it through the winter. I hate to be skeptical and, you know, jinx myself, but I think this hive was going to do just fine as long as they keep up the work. Look at that. Frame number 4, some nice capped honey at the top, pollen stored here and there, some nice capped brood, and then we flip it over. Same thing, capped honey, nectar, pollen, so all signs of a healthy hive so far. We got eggs on frame 5. Again, some nice capped honey, nice looking pollen coming in to cap it, or the wax. Nectar, brood, all kinds of different spun larvae. Like I said, eggs. So this is a nice looking hive, healthy, nice and healthy. Look at the brood on frame 6. That's what we like to see going into fall. That looks nice. Some capped honey, but just a little around the top. Plenty of brood, which is a good thing. This brood here will be the winter bees. So as long as these hatch healthy and do well, that should be the bees that bring the hive through the winter. It's hard not to get excited about this brood pattern. Look how nice and light that is, and how solid. The bottom left side, nice spun larva. It'd be nice to spot the queen on this hive. Last time I saw her was, I believe one time, maybe a week or two after I helped her get out of her cage. Very elusive. This is frame 8. Starting to build out some nice comb and cap the honey, and then the other side of it, of course, a lot of stored nectar. Alright, that's about, let's see, 19 minutes. Box number 2 looked great. Let's move down to the bottom box and see how things are looking. Now I see what people mean by a deep weighing about 100 pounds. Not sure exactly how heavy that was, but it's pretty heavy. Interesting enough, I just found something inside the telescoping cover in the front. I'm not sure what this is, but to take a look. Hopefully that is not a wax moth. If anybody knows what that is, please help me out. And before I forget, I'm going to take a quick picture of it. Alright, on to box number 2. I guess we'll start with frame number 2 since that's the one that came out. They have not built on this the entire time. It still looks like that funky comb. However, they're starting to build some new comb here and store some nectar. Still kind of a strange pattern. Frame number 1, some new comb, but that's about it. Frame number 3, the side that faces outside the hive, some new comb with some stored nectar. And then the other side, it's pretty, it's nice stored pollen. Frame 4, side that faces the outside, nice, well, you know, some nice brood pattern, questionable queen cup. I'm just gonna tear that down real quick. Possibly some drone brood at the bottom, not a big deal. And then we flip to the other side, some stored nectar and pollen, cap brood, and some spun larvae. This is frame number 6. You know, kind of a spotty brood pattern, but it's hard to say if bees have hatched and if, you know, things are being backfilled by nectar and pollen. The top box looked great. Maybe the queen's moved up there and she's laying exclusively up there and maybe just occasionally down here. Frame number 8, nice stored pollen, a little bit of brood. Bees still bringing in plenty of pollen, so that's not really an issue. Sorry about that. I had to step off camera real quick because I noticed a bee in my veil, and of course I had high hopes that it wouldn't sting me, in which it stung me on the top of my head. That is honestly amazing at how heavy that top chamber is. And this is kind of interesting, that grub of some sort. Since I took her out of the wax capping, which I'm starting to think it's a wax moth, the bees are doing their thing. So, you know, you learn something every time you inspect, and this time I learned to pay closer attention to what's underneath the telescopic cover, because you never know what you're going to find. Alright everybody, we're at about 36 minutes, with probably a 3 to 4 minute break, so I could get stung in the head. So things are looking good. Week 26 for hive number 1. The top brood chamber for sure is probably 3 or 4 times heavier than the bottom chamber, and if I had to guess why, I'm thinking they're probably taking the 2-to-1 syrup. I was supplementing them, and you know, going the shortest distance, which would be the foundation and frames of the top chamber. But either way, I'm gonna give them a break, probably give them about a week break, and then come out next week with 2 jars per hive, because hive number 2 is on a break right now, and then hive number 3, I'm gonna check that off camera, and I anticipate that being empty as well. So I'm just gonna condense them down so it's just the chambers. There's no empty space with everything that's blooming right now. I think they have plenty of you know, food sources, being the goldenrod for nectar and pollen, and give them about a week like I said, and then come back and start supplementing them some more about mid-October and see how that looks, and make a judgment call whether or not I'll have to supplement the food throughout the winter. But overall, things look good. Didn't spot the queen. Saw plenty of eggs, brood, cap brood, larvae spun in different stages. Plenty of stores with pollen and capped honey. Plenty of nectar, which is probably the sugar water that I was giving them. But this hive is looking pretty good. There's a few nice frames of some solid brood, which is awesome. Those are most likely going to be the bees that bring them through the winter. I'm going to take the entrance reducer off this one and put it on hive number 3, which I didn't get a chance to last week. So I'm just going to do that off camera. But thanks for watching. Cole's Farm, week 26, hive inspection on hive number 1. Tune in next week for hive number 2 and 3. That'll be their 3rd inspection. They've been here for, I think, just over a month now, or maybe a month and a half. So see y'all next time.